Muted.
I'm going to admit a few people here. Hold on 1 second.
I'm going to log out and try to log back on again here.
All right, Tracy.
Mike, should we do the border control?
Where am I at here? Yes,
So there,
let's do that.
I don't see Garrett yet. Is Garrett?
I forgot to call Garen and tell him what time we were starting. My fault.
No.
Well, I can't do the minutes because I wasn't there.
Well, I can wait a few minutes for.
Okay.
Tracy.
There you are, Tracy.
I did it.
Yeah.
Hey, there you are.
Yay.
Oh, Tracy's there.
Oh, there's Tracy. Now you're muted, you know,
Yep, I figured it out.
and Gwen's muted too. You're muted. You're good.
I was
We're not saying
coughing.
anything anyway right now.
I just texted Garrett. Let's see what happens.
Hey, Mike. Since Garrett's still not here, we've only got 2 minutes. You want to approve the three items, and then
Sure.
we can pick up the minutes at the next meeting.
Okay. I will move the 3 items.
And I would second the 3 items. Any discussion on those items?
No.
Okay, me neither. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, so our 3 items passed, so we took care of that. We'll pick up the minutes at the next meeting. We'll just do double minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move into, I see Mr. Orlando's here. Could you unmute yourself?
Hi, Pete.
On behalf of the Parks and Recreation and City Council, we're going to issue a proclamation in your honor for your service to the city. And it goes like this. Whereas Peter Orlando's distinguished career on the Park and Rec Board is concluded with his decision to retire from the board after contributing over 26 years of service to the Kent community. And whereas Pete Orlando has been a trailblazer throughout his time on the board by sharing his knowledge regarding municipal parks, trails, and the facility improvements of the park. Whereas Pete Orlando has been a mentor and transformative leader to many members on the park board, volunteering much of his time. And whereas Pete Orlando, practicing experiences, explanation, judgment, and leadership, has earned the respect of his colleagues, contributing to all the aspects of the Parks and Rec Department, being involved in hiring of 4 unclassified staff members, as well as working directly with the director of the Parks and Recreation Board. And whereas it is a sincere and great local pride that Pete Orlando has coached soccer, softball, baseball, and volunteered at many such events, turkey trot, in the Arton Park. And whereas on this occasion of his retirement, actually not till tomorrow, the Kent City Council wishes to honor Pete Orlando contribution to Kent community by celebrating December 17th, 2020 as Pete Orlando Day in the city of Kent. Now therefore I, Jerry Fial, Mayor, President of Council, do hereby recognize Mr. Peter Orlando and express appreciation for his many years of devotion. Pete, congratulations, well earned.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You have a 5-minute speech, Pete.
Well, not quite that long, but I certainly would like to thank the council for approving me for 5 terms. And it was good. We have a good board. We have a good staff. I'm really glad to have been able to contribute. I'd also like to thank the Dave Roller and the city administration and for all the cooperation we've had over the years, and particularly recently, and also Jim Bowling. Suzanne has helped us quite a bit recently, and Amy and Hope have been there too, and really appreciate all the cooperation with the rest of the city, and I hope it continues. In fact, I know it'll continue, and I hope you pick some good board members in the future. And I think the parks are really our showplace, and I know Mr. Idonia always said that. And this is a great honor and really kind of a surprise. And but I do thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you, Pete, for your service. And this is the actual real one, and we'll get it to you. Kevin, I see you're on there. Is there something you'd like to say? Maybe Kevin's not on
Okay,
it.
Kevin's muted.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on here. Yeah, I'd like to thank Pete. He's been a lot of help to me. A lot of things that you wouldn't know as a new director. Pete was able to lead me kind of down the right road. And his historical knowledge of the Parks Department is really going to be missed. I realize I'm not going to be the director after the first of the year, but whoever they hire, hopefully they can realize that they need to know something about the park. He's been a really great board member for over 26 years, and it's hard to find somebody who'll donate. That really is appreciated.
Thank you, Kevin.
All right. Pete, we'll get that official document to you, I think tomorrow. I'm coming over to your house anyhow.
Thank you. I'll be
All
here.
right.
Thanks,
Thank
Pete.
you. We'll call to order the actual council meeting. Do we have roll call?
Mr. Amrine,
Here.
Mr. De Leon,
Here.
Mr. Ferrara. He's here, but he's muted. I got you, Garrett.
Yep, I'm here now. Thanks.
Mr. Kuhar,
Here.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Here.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish,
Here.
Mr. Sidoti,
Here.
Mr. Turner,
Here.
and Ms. Wallach.
Here.
Okay, all are present.
Okay. Tracy Wallach, you have the opening remarks pledge you want?
Well, what can I say? This has been quite a year. Tense, stressful, scary, sometimes really scary. I'm sure you've all heard that Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. Well, we're definitely living in interesting times, but finally there's some hope. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Vaccines are coming, yay. And hopefully this time next year, we'll be able to spend the holidays with our family and friends. And hopefully next year in the fall, I'll be able to be back in the classroom with my students instead of just looking at them online. So Jerry, can you lead the pledge for me, please, then?
Yeah.
And if you're able,
Go ahead.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
One nation, under God, indivisible,
justice for all.
All right, thank you. Need approval of the minutes of November 18th. Need a motion?
Move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second by who? Tracy?
Yeah.
All right, is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, that passes. We're on to communication. Amy, is there any public communication?
We had one resident asking to speak, but I do not see that he is present. Mr. Shaw is not present.
Okay, we'll move on. Written communication?
We received a letter from Eric Asp of 845 Bryce Road regarding minimizing the number of guns in neighborhoods, and that was received on November 23rd. The Standing Rock Cemetery Commission meeting minutes from November 12th and the agenda for December 10th was received on December 2nd, 2020. The Board of Health minutes and statistical report from November 10th and the agenda for December 8th was received on December 4th, 2020. The Planning Commission agenda and staff report for December 15th was received on December 8th, 2020. Received a liquor license transfer request on December 4th for Dr. Realty LLC at 1225 West Main Street in Patio, Kent. And Chief Shearer had no objections to this transfer.
Move to return with no objections.
Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
second by Gwen. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you.
And then we received we received a second one, liquor license transfer request on December 8th for B&R Gillespie Holdings doing business as Tree City Coffee and Pastry, Suite 101 at 135 East Erie Street in Kent, Ohio. And Chief Shearer had no objections to this one as well.
Move
To
to
return with no objection.
objections.
Okay,
Second.
second by Heidi. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Is there further, Amy?
That's all.
All right, thank you. City manager's report, Mr. Emery.
Yeah, I'd like to move the city manager's report.
Second.
Number 2.
All but number 2.
Including number 2. Sorry.
All right. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
They're gonna stop by tomorrow.
All right,
Roads
thank
are
you.
crappy, so don't.
We get into standing committee report. I need a motion for the December 2nd meeting minutes.
So moved.
Roger seconded. Jack made the motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay. There's no action. We're gonna vote for the boards and commission. So let's go down the list. I'll call it out. You guys make the motions. For the Board of Zoning Appeal, there's 2 vacancies. The first motion will be for the first vacancy.
I move Tim Sarr.
Second.
Second, is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, for the second position. Is there a
Roger.
motion?
I'll move Deborah Douglas.
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Down to the Design and Preservation Committee, there's 2 vacancies, but there's only 1 applicant. Is there a motion?
I'll move Garrett Monroe.
I'll second that.
Second by Jack. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Moving to Park and Rec Board. Is there a motion? There's 2 vacancies for
I
the
move
first vacancy.
Kathleen Weiler.
I'll second that.
Second, that's for the first vacancy. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Is the second vacancy on the Park Board? Need a motion?
Move Steve Mitchell.
I'll second.
Second by Gwen. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, moving on to the Planning Commission. We need 2 vacancies. Is
I'll
there a
move
motion?
Amanda
Wait a minute.
Edwards.
Heidi, we wait? Is there a motion for the first vacancy?
Yes, I'll move Amanda Edwards.
Second.
Is there second by Roger? Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, thank you. Is there a motion for the second vacancy on the Planning Commission?
Yeah, I'd move Nicholas Bellis, please.
Is there a second to that? Second by Mike. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, that's the balloting. Now I need a motion to authorize and insert the names of all the vacancies appointed tonight. Is there a motion for that?
moved.
So moved. Was that you,
I'll second
Robert? All right,
Yeah.
I'll second it.
second it.
I'll second it.
John Carr seconded it. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, would the clerk read draft number 2020-16 in title only?
Draft number 2020-116, a resolution appointing Tim Sarr and Deborah Douglas to the Board of Zoning Appeals and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
and Ms. Wallach.
yes,
Need a motion for adoption.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach.
yes,
Resolution 2020-116 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2020-117 in title only?
Draft number 2020-117, a resolution appointing Garrett Monroe to the Design and Preservation Committee and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
And please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. De Leon? Uh-oh.
Mike, you're muted.
Woof. Yes, that's right.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
yes,
and Mr. Amrine.
Yes.
Need
Move
a motion for
adoption.
adoption.
Second.
second,
John made the motion, Mike seconded it. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, all, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
yes,
and Mr. Amrine.
Yes.
Resolution 2020-117 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2020-118 in title only?
Draft number 2020-118, a resolution appointing Kathleen Weiler and Steve Mitchell to the Parks and Recreation Board and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Please call the roll for suspension.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
yes,
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
yes,
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon.
Yes.
Okay, resolution 2020-118 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2020-119 in title only?
Draft number 2020-119, a resolution appointing Amanda Edwards and Nicholas Bellis to the Planning Commission and declaring an emergency.
Move
Move
suspension.
suspension.
It's
Second.
Garrett and second by Heidi. Please call the roll for suspension.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
yes,
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
and Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Okay, resolution 2020-119 is passed.
Okay, thank you. That's all there is in committee of the whole. Under community development, there's no action, no committee report. Land use, Mr. Pereira.
There's just, I move to approve the committee meeting minutes of December 2nd, and there's one action.
Second.
Second by Mr. Kuhar. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. With clerk read draft number 2020-120.
Draft number 2020-120, an ordinance accepting and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute an agreement obtaining a permanent easement from Clavin Property Management LLC, 1085 West Main Street for $52,160 for the purpose of a sidewalk to improve the walkability for the hike bike trail and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second.
Second by Roger. Please call the roll for suspension.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Garrett. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call roll for adoption.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
and Mr. Kuhar.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2020-120 has passed.
Okay, thank you. That's it for land use, sidewalks and streets. There's need approval for the minutes.
Yeah, I'd like to move that the committee meeting minutes of December 2nd be adopted.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, there's no action needed there. Health and public safety, Mr. Amrine, there's no action, no committee report there, but we do have a draft. Would the clerk read draft number 2020-130 in title only?
Draft number 2020-130, an ordinance of the city of Kent, Ohio, authorizing the city's law director to appear as amicus curiae and or to join as signatory of any local government amicus brief in support of local conversion therapy bans, including but not limited to the current petition for rehearing and Bonk and Otto et al. Versus City of Boca Raton et al.
Move
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Garrett. Please call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Garrett. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-130 has passed.
Okay, that's it for health and safety. Moving into finance committee. Need a motion for the minutes of the December 2nd meeting.
Move.
Well, who ran it last week or last week, 2 weeks ago? You want me to do it?
Ask Tracy.
You can do it, Mike.
I'll just move the committee meeting of December 2nd. And do you want to separate any actions or we can do them all?
Yeah, you can do them all.
And I'll move all 6 actions.
There a second?
Second.
second by Garrett. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
And we have a bunch of drafts.
Okay, would the clerk read draft number 2020-121 in title only?
Draft number 2020-121, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to contract on behalf of the city of Kent with the Office of the Public Defender, Portage County, for the provision of legal counsel to indigent persons charged with potential penalty of incarceration for offenses committed in violation of the ordinance of said city for the period of January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mike. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Besh.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Roger. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Besh.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-121 has passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2020-122 in title only?
Draft number 2020-122, an ordinance authorizing the finance director upon issuance of a certificate of availability of funds to pay certain purchase orders made that exceed $3,000 in declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Roger. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Besh,
Yes.
and Mr. Sidoti.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Garrett. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Besh,
Yes.
and Mr. Sidoti.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-122 has passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2020-123 in title only?
Draft number 2020-123, an ordinance authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute a grant agreement with NOPEC Inc. and to accept one electronic charging station for the use in public areas and declaring an emergency.
Move
Move
suspension.
suspension.
Second.
Second by Mike. Please call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Besh,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion on this, Blair? If not, please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Besh,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
and Mr. Turner.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-123 has passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2020-124 in title only?
Draft number 2020-124, an ordinance amending section 915.72 of the Kent Codified Ordinances, increasing the sewer rates of the city of Kent, Ohio by 3% beginning with the first billing cycle in January 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Suspension.
Second.
Second by Roger. Please call the roll for suspension.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
yes,
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
yes,
Ms. Wallach.
No,
Move
Suspension
adoption.
does pass. I need a motion for adoption.
Move
Move
adoption.
adoption.
Roger,
Second.
second by Heidi. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance?
yeah, I'll just say something.
Okay, go ahead, Tracy.
I'm going to vote against it because I think now's not the time to raise rates because people are really, really struggling right now. And it looks like hope is on the way with the vaccine, so things are going to be picking up later on next year. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kuhar,
Ditto.
ditto?
Mhm.
Anybody else? All right, please call the roll on adoption.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
No.
Ms. Rosenberg,
yes,
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
yes,
Ms. Wallach.
No,
Okay, the ayes have it, so 2020-124 is passed.
There were 7
First reading.
affirmative votes. Okay.
Yep.
Would the clerk read draft number 2020-126 in title only?
We have to do 125 next.
Oh, I'm sorry. 2020-125, my fault.
That's okay. 2020-125, an ordinance amending section 913.05 of the Kent Codified Ordinances, increasing the water rates of the city of Kent by 3%, beginning with the first billing cycle in January 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Roger. Please call the roll on suspension.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
No. Or yes. Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
yes,
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
yes,
Ms. Wallach,
no,
Mr. Amrine.
Yes.
Suspension passed. I need a motion for adoption.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Garrett. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Heidi?
I have something, yes. Well, years ago, we embarked on a process of rate stabilization. We felt it was the right thing to do. We had to take a big jump. This is a relatively small jump in comparison. There's never going to be a good time for rate stabilization, but the city's health depends on it. And I think that if we vote no, we're pushing our responsibilities down the road.
Anybody else? Tracy.
yeah,
Wait, Tracy, let's get Robin. Robin, go ahead.
thank you, Mayor. I agree with with Heidi. I think that's precisely what's going on. It's just a matter of kicking the can down the road. I certainly appreciate and understand the difficulties that we're all going through presently. But the amount of the increase is minimized. That was the overall logic. And conceptually, if in fact we don't do this, I mean, we're probably looking at a greater increase. So we're not really doing the residents a favor here. I think that based on where we're at, the logic that's been applied by our city administrators, this is the appropriate mechanism to be used now to try to address our shortfalls. And this is a chronic, unfortunate situation, but we're we're going to be able to deal with it if we stick to our plan. So I urge us to continue to move down that road. Thank
Is
you.
there further, Mr. Kuhar?
Yeah, as with the other one, I'm going to vote no. Yeah, we're always going to need money. We're going to continue to need money, and we're going to continue to need more money. And right now, we have some hope that in a year, everybody will be back to work and be making money again, and this won't be such a financial strain. But I have a hard time justifying a rate increase at this time. And then on the other hand, continuing on with a widening of a bike trail for millions of dollars while we're raising water rates. And I know they're two different things, but I don't know, just something doesn't strike me good about this at this present time. Now, 6 months from now or 8 months from now, when the COVID starts getting under control and people start working, I would probably vote yes.
Tracy,
Yeah, well, he said what I was going to say.
all right, is there anybody else? All right, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
No.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
No.
Mr. Amrine.
Yes.
Okay, we have
7 affirmative.
seven yeses, so 2020-125 has passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2020-126 in title only?
Draft number 2020-126, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2019-140, the position allocation and general compensation plan, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mike. Please call the roll for suspension.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
and Mr. De Leon.
Yes.
Need a motion for adoption.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Mike. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
and Mr. De Leon.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-126 is passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read draft number 2020-127 in title only?
2020-127, an ordinance accepting and authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute right-of-way agreements for the purpose of attaining temporary and permanent easements for the construction of the Southwest Sanitary Pump Station project and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mike. Please call the roll in suspension.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
and Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Garrett. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Seeing none, please call the roll for adoption.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
and Mr. Ferrara.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 2020-127 has passed.
Okay, thank you. Would the clerk read 2020-128 in title only?
Draft number 2020-128, an ordinance amending ordinance number 2019-139, the current appropriation ordinance passed December 18th, 2019, so as to adjust various funds of the city of Kent to individual accounts for the current expenses of the city for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Tracy. Is this the one that there was some revision that came out afterwards?
Yes.
All right.
Does it matter if she skipped a sentence when she was reading it?
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
I'll reread it.
Okay.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2019-139, the current appropriation ordinance passed December 18th, 2019. December 18th, 2019, so as to adjust appropriations, transfers, and advances from the various funds of the city of Kent to individual accounts for the current expenses of the city for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
Move suspension.
Second.
Second by Mike. Please call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
and Mr. Kuhar.
Yes.
Motion for adoption.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second by Gwen. Is there any discussion on adopting this ordinance? Please call the roll for adoption.
Ms. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Ms. Turner, Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
and Mr. Kuhar.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-128 has passed.
Bless you.
Go ahead. Who had a question? Oh, I'm sorry.
He said, bless you.
Oh, bless you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said,
The eyes and ears go after a while.
Thank you
With
again.
Would the clerk read 2020-129 in title only?
Draft number 2020-129, an ordinance appropriating from the various funds of the city of Kent to individual accounts for the current expenses of the city for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021, and declaring an emergency.
Move
move
suspension.
suspension.
Second.
Second by Mike.
Bless you.
Call the roll on suspension.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yeah.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
and Ms. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Move adoption.
Second.
Second.
Second by Garrett. Please call the roll on adoption.
Ms. Schaefer-Bish,
Yes.
Mr. Sidoti,
Yes.
Mr. Turner,
Yes.
Ms. Wallach,
Yes.
Mr. Amrine,
Yes.
Mr. De Leon,
Yes.
Mr. Ferrara,
Yes.
Mr. Kuhar,
Yes.
and Ms. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-129 is passed.
Okay, thank you. That's it for Finance Committee. Before I ask for the rest of the unfinished business, being the end of the year, Mr. Roller, do you have some insight that we look forward for 2021?
Thank you.
I don't know. I'm just asking you.
The only, well, I have a very practical thing that isn't very exciting. I wanted to mention, so Mayor, late in the day, you and I communicated about sort of us figuring out all the budgetary adjustments we've needed to make with COVID. I don't know if Amy has mentioned to everybody yet, or even to you, Mayor, but Rhonda, later in the day, got a little clarification from the auditor. And I think we're going to need an emergency meeting with you guys before the end of the year. I swear it'll be like 5 minutes, but it's all the COVID money. They want us to sort of book it in a different way in our books to close the year out, and they want it done before December 31st. So I do apologize in advance. It would probably be, the week after Christmas. So that's not nice, exciting news, Mayor. I don't have any exciting, happy news other than I think Tracy said it best. Thank God 2020 is ending. I'm paraphrasing. She said it much friendlier than that, but time to close that chapter.
Yeah.
All right, with that said, we're looking at,
Wait,
go
Jerry.
ahead. Go ahead, Tracy.
Amy, can you send that meeting date to me on my Kent EDU website, please? My email.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, thanks.
All right, we're talking about December the 30th. You guys want to meet at 6 or 7 o'clock?
7.
7? Is that the consensus?
Sure.
With that said, we'll be meeting on December the 30th at 7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Send me a reminder.
All right, is there any other unfinished business? Seeing none, anything under new business? Nobody? Wow.
Oh, I wanted to say
Councilman,
something.
Tracy, you have something to say? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm really happy that we all stayed healthy through this year, through all the challenges.
Now we got another week and a half.
Don't jinx us for the love of God.
I
You
gotta
should
tell
be
you
green,
people,
Mr. Mayor.
I don't know who sneezed, but that is the only thing that you have is a pot of gold, because as I look at all these different requirements that you have the COVID now, if you sneeze, it isn't one of them. So if you sneeze, you're good.
I was happy to see the email about the vaccination for our first responders. That gave me a little boost of confidence, and I'm glad to see that they're going to be protected.
Good, good.
I had a kid that works for me say he was going to wait and watch when they give the vaccines to see how the people were doing with it. I said, by the time you get the vaccine, you will have waited already.
I think we're looking at May, June, or July. I don't know. So I hope not. Heidi, you have something?
Yeah, I want to say that in addition to Kent State employees and our own city employees, I want to encourage everyone to find a way to support our local businesses through the holiday season and beyond. It's really important to, keep your money local as much as you can. Maybe there's a little inconvenience in going to a brick and mortar versus pushing a button on a computer, but it's real important so that we can help them get through this.
Anybody else? All right, I guess we're under the mayor's report. I just want to say, generally, on this day, we have a council party that we're not going to have, but generally it snows every time on this, and our service director puts out a parking alert, which hurts my neighbors because we're parking on my street. Well, we're not going to have the party because of COVID. So I will say this, maybe if we get into July and everybody's somewhat healthy and the vaccine's out, maybe we'll have a Christmas in July party. So just take a rain check on that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
since we're
sir.
not having a party, I'll just park in front of the house and you can send the cookies and the food outside.
My wife didn't make any. She's not prepared. So that I want to say, a lot of people celebrate December 25th in different ways. It may be Christmas. It may just be the holidays. But I always say, whatever you believe, respect the other person for what they believe. And I think that's what it's about. And I want you all to stay healthy, and let's get out of it into 2021 and hope. I don't think it can be much worse, but let's hope it's better. And with that, Happy New Year, everybody. Is there anything else? We're adjourned.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Christmas, Happy New Year.
Happy
Everybody enjoy
holidays.
the holidays. Stay safe.
So
Absolutely.
wait, we're going to see you before the end of the year. We have another meeting.
Oh, yeah.
We'll
Thanks,
bill
Dave.
Rhonda for that one.
Yeah.